welcome flip clock fans. If you've got a flip clock that's not flipping right, what good is it? Well, it's still awesome because it's a flip clock, but you want things to match up. You've got a perfect dance there between the minutes and the hours, and it's got to match up. And so a member of flipclockfans.com told me about a Copal 227 that was having some issues. I'm going to show you how to fix that particular issue. So I've taken out a mechanism of another clock. I've already removed the motor. You'll have to do that. But you see, around 20 to 22, it flips over to a different hour. And then here you expect it to go to 11, it goes back to 10. So at 20, you change this to the hour, and it's just all the way off. So that's not going to work at all. So I'm going to show you how to fix that. In addition, I'm going to show you how to fix the alarm, reset that if it's a problem, or how to preserve it from messing up. So I got to show you a little bit how this works. Now this gear right here is involved in the movement of the minutes. And you'll see there's like a slip clutch there. To me, it's like I would call it a ratcheting slip clutch. So that when the motor is connected to that gear, the axle turns by that slip clutch moving. So it's actually the axle turning that's turning the minutes. But when the slip clutch is engaged and the motor's moving, it'll move the minutes. Now that's the minutes control gear there. And this is the hour. So the one to the inside moves the hour. You might be able to see that. It doesn't move as much as the minutes. And the motion of the minutes is transmitted through this gear down here to the hours. And that's how they're synchronized. Now they're locked into place. So I can't adjust those hours without releasing that somehow. Now someone might think, well, you're going to take this bar off here, but it's welded here. And even removing those tines out of the way is not going to help you because like the minutes and the hours are locked into place. You think, well, I'll take these screws out, I'll get access from this side, but you see you can't because the base is continuous there with the side. That's not going to work either. This slip clutch is press fit onto that axle there, so you can't remove that. We've got to come from this side. There's no other way. Now I've put this handle on here earlier to allow me to move the minutes. And we got to get that off to get to it. Man. I just pushed that on there myself. That's really made to stay, isn't it? So when we take this wheel off, there's a good chance it's going to get out of sync with the clock and your alarm won't go off in time. I'm going to show you how to prevent that or to rebuild this so that it works correctly. Now this E-clip has to come off. I used to call these moon clips. They're actually called E-clips, like E, the letter E, but to me they should be called flea clips. Whenever you grab a hold of these, they'll jump. And squeezing the tweezers tighter is not the answer. They'll just jump farther. So we're going to call those flea clips. Now here at the top, oh, there's a washer just dropped off the end there. You'll see that. There's two washers involved in this. This is the smaller one. Now this thing at the top, we're going to name that. And we're going to call it the clackety-clack. Now the clackety-clack, its job is to hold the alarm indicator in place. See those little notches on the inside look like gears? That's what clicks and makes the sound when you're turning the alarm set. So that piece just slides right off. The spring just sits there. Now here we go. This piece next, with these two posts sitting up in the air, this right here, that's the thing that has to be set exactly in sync with your clock if you want your alarm to be set correctly. And one way is if you know what time it is on your clock right at this second, you remember that and you make a little mark on the wheel. Line it up with this axle here. That's how I've done it in the past, but I thought, well, there's got to be a better way. So hopefully I'm going to show you a better way if you didn't get to do that, or if you've got a clock that's way out of sync. So we'll do that when we reassemble, and it involves using this orange indicator here. Okay, so we'll get to that at reassembly. First we got to fix this clock. So the whole point is I've got to get this wheel disengaged from that transmission wheel. We've got to get this axle to move, and we've got another flea clip here that's got to come out. You see it jump? Flea clip. Now this here has a washer, a brass washer. It's the bigger of the two that's involved. It has to come off. It's fallen down into the flea clip groove and will not allow that axle to move. So that axle has to move, and you've got to get that washer off. All right, now that post will move. This gear here, it just transmits. It's very important, but it doesn't have to come off. It transmits that movement from this wheel, which is locked into the minute cage here. It transmits that to our alarm indicator. Now, that gear is connected to the post because the post has got a flat end in it. And the gear matches that. Now, see, I'm pushing that axle. There's the minutes. We're going to try to keep everything lined up here. You want to start at 0, 0, and then just flip over once. So it's important to make sure you're set at 0, 0, flip over once, bring the gear back in place. It's got to mesh with that transmission gear down at the bottom. There it goes. So it's actually fixed right now. We'll double check it. You got to be careful. The gear on the right wants to kind of come out. You don't want it to do that. It'll go back in, but so you see everything's fixed right there. So now, what's left is to get everything back together. Now, a lot of times I'll just say do it in reverse, but it's not like that. You've got to know how to do that. This clackety-clack has to be kind of set up like that. You see how that is? The spring's not under tension now. It will be in a second. So we've got to get the washer back in place. And it is, like I said, the bigger of the two washers, brass washer. There's no extra parts, by the way. All the parts have a purpose. Now, so that should hold it right there, but we're going to go ahead and get that flea clip in place so that we don't have any movement of that bar. You see it? See it jump? It's like a flea circus around here. So I'm trying to hold that in place so it doesn't slide out on me. Now, it did take me a while to get that clip in there. It was giving me trouble, and I don't show you all of that. That's why I'm rather frustrated with it, and I gave it a bad name. I'm going to keep calling it a flea clip. I've got to just kind of hold, get things lined up. So I've got that in place. It's in the groove, and you snap it into place. Now, right now, it should be fixed. We should have everything lined up correctly. And it is. So it's fixed. We're going to keep checking that as we assemble to make sure it doesn't get out of line. So here's our critical part. This is what tells the alarm indicator what time it is. And it can only go on in one way. I went ahead and tried to figure out a way, and I hope it works for all 227s. But there's going to be some principle that's the same. So you'll see what I'm saying. What I have found is if you set the clock to 1 a.m., so 100, you want to get it pretty close. You may flip a tile here or there, but it's not that big of a deal. And now this clacky-clack, you got to go ahead and get it kind of ready. Make sure that spring's in place. You see this device here? It's got a hole there. That's an indicator hole in my opinion. So that indicates that this post needs to be closest to this indicator. So at 1 a.m., you want to line that post, that black post, up with the orange indicator. That orange indicator there. Now from my eye, it's directly lined up. From the camera's point of view, it's not, but it is. It's lined up. Then we take this part. Now this part here has ramps on it. And those ramps will mesh with the indicator wheel. The whole point is when it hits a certain time, those ramps are going to drop into the holes that are on the indicator wheel and allow the indicator wheel, or allow that piece to move, this piece to move forward, or to the right, I should say, that will release the alarm. Now this can only go on one of two ways, but you match that hole up with the hole that's on the other gear, and you know you've got it on the other way. Otherwise, you're going to be 12 hours off. There's your spring. I don't think it matters which way you put it on. I think there's a smaller end, so the smaller end goes first. That's what it looked like to me, but I think it would work either way. So now that we know we're going to have everything lined up, we get the hole in place. Again, those two little holes match up. Again, I got to get this spring set up on this device here, because it's got to be moved backwards as I place this indicator on to catch those inside grooves so that it makes our sound when we're turning it. It does more than sound, it holds that indicator in place. It allows it to move only in one direction. So right now I could test it, and I should hear a click when it gets to 1 a.m., and it did. So it's set correctly. Okay, now we've got to get this back. We've got the smaller of the two washers and another flea clip. Of course, this one really gave me grief. Again, I don't like to use the excuse that I'm doing it on camera. It took me a while to get things lined up so you can see what I'm doing. You press it in, so it's going into the groove there. Now, I know some of you know all this stuff, but some of the people who are newer may not have had experience with this. Now, the thing is, it should be moving freely there, so it's not. So I'm going to give it a little more push, get it in place, so that flea clip will move around. There. So it moves, it'll move freely, just like that. That's in place. It's not going to accidentally pop off. So we're going to double check. So again, we know this is going to work, but we're going to double check before we go any further. There, that's right. Should have a click when we get to 2 a.m. And it does. So this thing is back in business. So you see, this is a fix for someone who's really kind of adept at fixing things, who likes to take things apart and put things together. I'm not going to say it's for everybody, but that's how you do it. I hope this has helped someone get your clock back on the road. Well, thanks for taking the time.